Well, good morning, everybody. Here we are on Sunday morning. As you can see, a beautiful blue sky behind me. And we're reading through Jonah today. And Jonah was a prophet with an attitude, for sure. He definitely had issues. When we look at the fact that God told him to go to Nineveh, and he immediately got up and headed off to Tarshish. There's problems there. So, what was amazing to me is that throughout Jonah, you can see the tenderness of the Lord, both towards Jonah and towards Nineveh, where um, he gave Jonah a good lesson on what his heart was towards people that weren't even his own. Because you got to remember that Nineveh was not Israel, was not part of Israel, and yet God considered these people to be His people. He created them, He planted them, and So as we look at this and we see the tenderness of it, I can't help but think that God could have right from the very beginning just did away with Jonah and called one of his other prophets to go, because there were schools of prophets. There were lots of prophets around. Um, Jonah was not the only one, and I, it might have gone a lot different, but he stuck with Jonah because he had called Jonah, and it's Jonah's responsibility. And even when Jonah was questioning him about his, how dare he forgive, how dare he show mercy, how dare he show grace, I knew you would do this. God was still very tender in the way that he taught Jonah a lesson. When we consider all the times that God could have just started all over again, I mean, from the very beginning, from creation, where we blew it, he could have just wiped out the whole planet, started with another planet, did it differently. He wouldn't have started with a different planet, but he could have wiped out everything and just just called in a whole new plan. But this was his plan. This is what he had committed himself to, and he was going to go to the end of it, regardless. It didn't matter what it looked like. He was committed to this, and he was going to the end of it. And we see that he could have wiped out David. He could have wiped out Samson. I mean, he could have wiped out all of Israel for what Israel had done and just started over again. The same thing with the church. When we look at the church and what we've turned the church into, what a mess. And he could just wipe it out and start it all over again. But this is not, he's committed. When Dad sets his hand to something, he follows it through to the end, no matter what it's looking like, no matter how bad it's looking. Which, I mean, we look at ourselves as individuals, and we can say the same thing about us. He could have just ended us. He could have just killed us. He walked away from us. He's never walked away from anybody. He's a great redeemer. He's a great redeemer, and no matter how bad a situation gets, he can redeem. He does redeem. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to leave it there because this is awesome. He redeems every situation. He uses everything for our good. And he doesn't walk away, no matter how ugly it gets. You'll be blessed. Have a great day, folks. Love you, and see you in church.